Welcome back to the Renngineering YouTube channel and podcast. In this episode, one of three I think it is, we're going to talk about selling my 981 Cayman. It's a 2015 981 Cayman. All the things that cost me money and didn't cost me money. And I want to apologise firstly as well. So some of the camera work from me was a little while back before I'd kind of learned how to use the camera properly. So apologies for that. The editors have done the best job they can with the rubbish I gave them, but it gets better in time. So these videos are kind of probably about a year out of sequence, bit more maybe a year and a half. So yeah, it gets better over time, that's all I'll say. Anyway, let's get into the video. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back today. Oh, we've got a dog running around. So today I'm going to talk about 3 years with my 981 Cayman. It's a 2015 2.7 base model Cayman. I hate that phrase, base model. Not because it's a base model, just because I think it's a rubbish phrase. I'm going to talk about cost. I'm going to talk about driving experiences I had with the car. Any regrets that I have. Then we're going to talk about wear. We're going to do a little walk around of the vehicle. I'll put some B-roll in and talk over that and sort of let you know about how it went and what my thoughts are after 3 years with the car. So let's start with not just this, like most things I guess. If you're in a relationship with somebody, their thoughts and feelings are important as well. My wife does not want me to sell this car. This is being picked up tomorrow. So lovely chap that's buying it from me, and I'm really thrilled actually, because the last thing I wanted with this car is for it to go off to a trader and then into an auction potentially, not know who it's going to go to. It's been like my first love, and I know it sounds dramatic, but it's the first Porsche I've ever owned. It was an aspirational thing for me to try and get to by the time I was 40, and I did. And yeah, and she loves it. It sounds great. That's what she's worried about partly, is the fact that the next car won't sound as good, and she's right, it won't sound as good. Yeah, so those things matter, they matter to me anyway. So I guess that's one thing, is when you're deciding to move on from a car, is it definitely something you want to do? And I've spent probably best part of a month now. I put the deposit down on the new car 3-4 weeks ago. And in that time, that's a lot of time to get buyer's remorse or seller's remorse and come out the other side of it. And I'm doing that. I'm committed to doing it. But if I'm honest, even though arguably the next car is a car that Porsche enthusiasts will probably appreciate more, and I certainly appreciate what it does and the point of it, and I think it's a great long-term car, there's something about this that's got under my skin. I bought it, for those of you, I'm pretty sure a video had been out now, whether it ended up going out or not, it might have been too bad to go out. It's one of the first ones I shot about why I bought this car, some of the journeys I've had in it, and I'm kind of redoing a little bit of that now because it was awful. But if I didn't put that out, I just want to talk a little bit about the sort of experiences I've had and the things I've done in it. So, yeah, within 24 hours of buying the car, I went to Brooklands, got a nice photo in the Brooklands bank, and I'll put that in. And I just tried to make as much out of the car as I could before coronavirus kicked off. My stag do, I bought this car just before I got married, and I drove it we had a micro stag, so we had a caffeine and machine. Then a load of us camped in a campsite nearby Caffeine Machine, just had a load of barbecue and talked crap about me, pretty much. Which is good fun, and all those things, they all build up memories in this stuff. So I'm a really nostalgic, sentimental person anyway, so anything that I can sew, I'm the same with watches and stuff as well, anything I can sew memories into, the better. Watches will do another thing. It's only interesting watches actually. I'm happy to do the odd watch episode. It'll go in Waffle, it won't go in anything else, but yeah, happy to talk about watches. Yeah, so I spent a ton of time doing trips all over the place and loved it. And a part of the ownership experience for me has been the fact that I've enjoyed getting out and using it. And obviously then we had the coronavirus period and it got much less use. Like I said, it's on 27,000 miles now. So let's break down now, because that's a bit of kind of thought about why I bought the car and some of the stuff I've done with it. But I want to talk about the things that you're interested in. If you're watching this and you're thinking about buying a 981, let's have a talk about the cost. So I don't mind. I don't know why people get all funny about, you know, saying how much to pay for something. I don't care at all. I paid £32,300 for this car in 2018. Oh no, 2019. Sorry, yeah, it would have been early 2019. And we're 2022, so 3 years later, and I think I bought it with 14,000 miles on 27. So I would have expected to. I kind of worked into, when I was buying the car, how much I'd lose. I thought I'd lose maybe 10 grand from that. And again, don't mind saying how much I sold it for. I sold it for 31, so, you know, 1,300 quid in 3 years and 14,000 miles or 13,000 miles. I think that's pretty exceptional, and I think it's part of the reason why maths plays a big part in buying these sorts of things. And it totally has with a new car as well. It's rare that you'll get absolutely smashed to bits. Like and again, no disrespect to anyone that's bought an M3 or an M4, you know, pay 50, 60 grand for one of those things, and you know, you're literally watching the money fall out of it. I didn't want that. Quite honestly, I can't afford that. So whatever I did had to have a bit of an exit strategy, and the next one does it too, although it's just a level up again. So yeah, financially it's been great. In terms of running costs, I bought it's on its original wheels. It came on 19-inch Cayman S wheels with Goodyear Eagle F1 asymmetrics all round. I took those wheels off pretty much straight away and put some 20-inch Sport Techno wheels on with Pilot Sport 4Ss. Ran the car for the 3 years on those Pilot Sport 4Ss, and then sold those wheels at the end. I think I lost a few hundred quid on the wheels, but que sera. And then put these wheels back on, and because I hadn't used them, they'd only done 13,000 miles or 14,000 miles, and the tyres are still pretty good. So so again, you know, I kind of factored in some of the cost of that, but so I've not replaced tyres. You know, I bought the 20-inch wheels with tyres on, and yeah, so no tyre costs, not changing any tyres. Brakes, you wouldn't expect to, I guess. Maybe the brake pads might be starting to go, or you know, you might be. I've not done any track days or anything, and I guess I drive fairly light, but I've never, in the services that I have had done, brake pads haven't come up, discs clearly haven't. Yeah, I want to kind of go into. I want to talk about. It would be more exciting if there was, you know, a noticeable cost involved, but there hasn't been. I've literally not put a bulb in this thing. I've got a habit of cleaning wipers anyway when I wash the car, and the wipers don't squeak and they still clear the screen, so no need to change those. Yeah, so the only thing I guess I have done, this probably over and above what's necessary, because when I bought this car, although I figured out what I would do and how much it was going to cost or how much I'd be happy to lose if I sold it, I also at the same time had the intention of keeping this for life, and clearly that's not happened. But yeah, so I had annual oil changes done on top of the 2-year servicing. So, and because I bought it and it hit the 4-year mark, was it the 6-year mark? Yeah, 6-year mark last year. So that was the big service, and I think it cost me about £1,000, which is quite a lot. Yeah, it's quite a lot, and that was belts and plugs or belt inspection, plugs, air filter, pollen filter, oil, and a check. I think that's what it is. It just, you know, is stressed out when you're spending £1,000 and you don't see a lot for it, especially if you're used to servicing cars on your own. It seems berserk that you're spending that much money, but it is important to get either main dealer servicing or a reputable independent specialist, and that's what I've gone for. Brookspeed in Hampshire serviced this for the time I've had it, and I also started to use, and I probably will use, Barn Sport a little bit as well. You might actually have seen the Tech Talk with Barn Sport. If you haven't, we're probably going to do a few of those guys, but the first one was on geometry. So if you want a myth bust setup, you know, tracking and all that sort of stuff, that's a really good one to watch. So head into the menu and go and have a look. It's worth watching. So that's servicing costs. Nothing. I've not replaced anything. Let's talk about wear, because you know you'd expect 3 years with a 7-year-old car. You'd expect some wear, right? You'd expect you know, the body to be sort of have marks and damage and stuff. And I have driven it as a daily car. It's been my only car for the most part. I think a couple of the winters I bought cheap runarounds, but for the most part, it's just been the only car I've used. So, and I don't know whether it was just me. I came out of Lotuses, so I expected there to be, Lotus don't really fare too well in the winter. It's not the ideal situation, but I guess I underestimated how well built these things were. And I was a bit sort of cynical about the idea of using a Porsche through the winter, and I still would try not to, because I just hate the fact that salt gets everywhere and it's an absolute nightmare to get rid of. But you totally could. I haven't. I've babied this thing again, probably because I thought I would keep it forever. So bodywork, and at this point I'll swap over to B-roll and sort of talk you through the B-roll. Nothing, literally, as you can see, the bodywork is spotless. I went around and touched in a load of stone chips, but they're only minor ones really. There was no noticeable damage. Wheels, again, there was one mark from when the car was brought to me. But again, this is, it's not the car's fault, and it's not even accidental. It's just negligence on the delivery driver's part. So have a look at the interior then. Interior. So I'm a bit of a perfectionist. And the car gets cleaned constantly. And I weirdly, so you guys might feel free to tell me in the comments as well. I was told with these leather seats, or anything fairly modern actually, that there is like a sealant layer or a lacquer that goes, or a matte lacquer that goes onto the actual leather of the seats, which makes putting balms and softeners and treatment oils and things like that completely pointless, because it doesn't get soaked in. I don't know if that's true, because I didn't do that. I used like a cleaning agent. It was quite soft, and it was light. It wasn't too sort of detergenty. And I still found the leather starting to dry out, and I did use a balm then, and I let it soak in for the day, and it soaked in and it softened the leather back up. So I don't know how much truth is involved in that, but anyway, again, if you're an expert in leather, you can let me know. Actually, I'm hoping to go to D class and they can talk to me all about that stuff. Steering wheel, I've got a real thing about dirty steering wheels, and when they get the oils and grime wedged in them. So again, I'll put it's called Wheeler's leather cleaning spray. And it's brilliant. It's got like a lemongrass smell to it. It's pretty nice. So if you can go and find that stuff, I'd definitely buy it. Once that runs out, I've got probably about a third of a bottle left. And I'll get another load of that. But that kept the steering wheel really matte, that nice fresh matte feel. Gear knob, that took a bit of it wasn't my ring, but I noticed a mark on the gear knob, and I had somebody come out and a leather repair person come out, and they fixed that. Can't tell that it was ever damaged. At the same time, actually, as well, one of the services, when I was having the car serviced, unfortunately, someone sat in the car and they must have had a belt buckle on or something, a tab on the back of jeans or something, and it scratched a big scratch down the middle of the panel. I lost and asked for it to be fixed. Bit of toing and froing about that, but yeah, eventually they agreed to do it, and so that's the reason why that leather person turned up. And amazing. So I don't know if you want me to share her details or not. She's one of those people that works quite privately. But yeah, she was fantastic. She came out in a little van. I was a little skeptical about whether it'd vanish, and she was completely convinced I'd never see it, and she was right, I was wrong. It looks perfect. Apart from that, the interior looks brand new. And I think that's probably the theme for the whole car, really, is the car looks brand new after, it's 2015, so 7 years old. And I think you'd be hard pushed to think it was more than 6 months old. It's the mid-30s on a run MPG, and I would say probably hooning it mid to early 20s. Tax is about 300 quid, I think. Can't remember now. But yeah, it's just do it. If you're thinking about it, just do it. There really is nothing negative about this car at all. Spec-wise, this car was a bit of an ace, really. So manual, sports chrono, PDLS, so the fancy lights, sports plus seats, sports steering wheel, sports design steering wheel. Did I say manual? Manual. Folding mirrors. 19-inch wheels, PASM. And it came with one of the things that I bought it with, and I didn't know I had when I bought it, and until it got dropped off, was a Design 911 Valvetronic switchable exhaust, and that thing sounds epic. If you've watched any of the other clips, in fact, I'll chop in and insert a clip here, and you can just sort of get a drive-by, and yeah, it does sound great. So I would say that I went to a supercar club, not this is a supercar, but I went to a supercar club event, and there was Lambos everywhere, and come sit down. There's Lambos everywhere, and all sorts of cars and stuff, and I think not pace-wise, obviously, and probably not looks-wise, but sound-wise, I think this was definitely up there with the best of them. So I think that's this car's ace card, is it just sounds, especially with that exhaust, sounds incredible. Funny enough, actually, Sam from Seen Through Glass, I went to one of his open events last year, and that came up in the podcast. So again, if you go and have a look at it, listen to his podcast. Yeah, it's good. So I think probably about wraps us up. What next? Well, like I said, this gets picked up tomorrow. I don't know if I want to see it again, to be fair. It's a tough one because I feel so chemically bonded to this car that it's a painful experience letting it go. So yeah, I don't know. I'll think about it, maybe. But moving onwards though, so I guess the next video you'll see, it will be a collection video. Baytree Cars, thank you very much for all your help so far. Let's get this deal done, get it over the line, and I can go in hopefully this time next week. I'll be heading to Derby, and I'll get the full... I've never had, you know when they pull the cover off? It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? I mean, it's just a cover, but actually I'm hoping, and I said that about this, but the next car will be the last car I ever buy. I really want it to be my Gran Torino. I've said that to a couple of my mates. I want it to be my Gran Torino, the next car. So yeah, it'll be really cool, and I want to experience that, and I want to bring you guys along for that experience as well. Yeah, live vicariously through me. Bad financial decisions, but it's all fun, right? So yeah, thank you very much for watching this. If you've got any questions about running a 981 Cayman, I can't talk about the Boxster element, so the roof. I'm sure Boxster owners will chip in the comments and let you know what their thoughts are about Boxsters as well. But yeah, so it's good news. It's good news. It's good news financially. It's good news from a driving perspective. If you're thinking, so I'll wrap up on, if you've test driven other stuff, like the faster ones, I did a back-to-back test between this and a 4-litre GTS last year. Yes, the 4-litre GTS is fine, is much faster. I think this sounds better. It's 50-60 grand between this and a 4-litre GTS. I've got to be honest, I don't see the 50-60 grand. Maybe I'm just an imbecile, and I have absolutely no ability to tell the difference. Steering did feel slightly more direct with the 4-litre GTS, but this is a good news story, this car, and I'll defend it to its dying day. And if I ever ended up back on one, it'd be a pleasure to do that as well. So yeah, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat, in the comments. If you haven't subscribed already and you enjoyed this, and yeah, please subscribe and hit the notifications, the bell icon, make sure you get the notifications through. On Instagram, we're at Renngineering UK. On Facebook, we're at Renngineering. And thank you very much from me and Bodhi, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye for now.